Hi, I'm Mandy Pryor, and welcome to Spotlight on Pittsburgh. Spotlight on Pittsburgh is a program about Pittsburgh's most fascinating people and what they do to make our city an amazing place to live and work. We have two guests on today that bring the best of Italy to the Pittsburgh region. Joining us first is Domenic Mantella of Tavolo Pazzo, who imports some of the most exquisite oils and vinegars straight from the Big Boot. Also joining Domenic is Adam Ehrlichman, who will be sharing what it's like to work at one of Pittsburgh's biggest century-old Italian fooderies, when Spotlight on Pittsburgh returns. Hi, and welcome back to Spotlight on Pittsburgh. We are here with Adam and Domenic, and they have brought food, so I am a very happy person today. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having me.
We are going to be switching up the format a little. We have both of them here together on set, so we're going to be able to go back and forth between all of these great foods and learn a little bit more about what they're both doing in the Pittsburgh region. So we'll start with Adam. Adam, tell me a little bit about yourself and what you do.
I'm Adam Ehrlichman. I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and I run the cheese counter at Pennsylvania Macaroni Company. I've worked there since 2005. It's my second job out of high school. After I started there, I was going to school for trade, for welding. I went and I did that for a year while still working at Penn Mac. And I was like, you know, I could probably go back and run the cheese program, and I really like working with cheese as opposed to working with metal. And I went back, and I've been there ever since.
And so you consider yourself a cheesemonger.
Cheesemonger.
So what is a cheesemonger for those of you
A cheesemonger is somebody that gets you your cheese. So maybe you're coming in and you're having an event, you have your mind set on a certain wine, a certain dish, and I get the right cheese for it.
So like pairings and you know,
Pairings,
knowing the
recipes,
flavors of the cheeses.
Between me and my staff, any kind of really, you know, guidance that you could need in cheese. We could meet it. And we also, you know, I do purchasing, so I select the best products for my community. You know, I listen to my community, and I think that's the brilliant thing about independent grocery is the immediate response to community. Unlike a large chain store where you have buyers buying for an entire region or multiple regions and making deals.
And contracts.
I focus on what my consumers want.
And so what do consumers want right now in terms of what you're doing?
Right. You know, it actually, we have a large customer base in Pittsburgh, and we have everything from very high-end specialty cheese to your most basic cooking cheddar. Something that I think really represents Pennsylvania Macaroni and what we do is we have an excellent price on 24-month Parmigiano Reggiano. So it's export quality Parmesan Reggiano. It is at least $3 or $4 cheaper per pound than any retail grocery store around. And 100% of our wheels are single source. So they're all from the Latteria Tutela Farm 822. On every wheel. You could look at any wheel, you walk by our window, every wheel is from the same farm. So we deliver quality in multiple ways. We give you quality by cutting it fresh to order when you come in. Our cheeses aren't pre-cut, waiting for you, being cleaned up later. They're cut when you ask for them. They're a high quality, and they're at a very fair price.
Well, and there is. I mean, even with Parmesan, you know, a lot of people go and get the store brand in the green container, and it is definitely different.
It's definitely different.
The quality is different, the taste is different. So it's great that you're doing this. And I think everybody has been to Penn Mac at least once. And if you haven't, you definitely should. I mean, nobody in this room, I can't convey it on the screen, but this whole room smells like that cheese right now.
And I'm starving.
Yeah, it makes me absolutely hungry. But What cheeses do you think, aside from the ones we generally get, we'll get the Parmesans and the Cheddars, what's kind of a standout cheese that people maybe don't know about that's very popular or that they should try?
I really like this cheese from Switzerland called Sprinz Alpage. It's a 36 months Alpine aged cheese, so it's actually made on the Alp in the summertime. And they say it's a predecessor to the Parmigiano, so it's also a large format cooked curd. It has the crystallization is smaller and harder. Little different fruit flavors, but it's excellent. I don't think many people have had it, but it's been doing great at Penn Mac.
Good. Well, that sounds like something I would want to try. And Domenic, tell us a little bit about you. You're coming in, you're bringing us some different olive oils, balsamics.
Yeah, so I'm born and raised in Pittsburgh. I'm first generation Italian. And how I got into importing, first I started importing the olive oil because my mom used to get olive oil from her sister in Italy because it was hard for her to find a good olive oil that represented where she grew up.
Sure.
So I was like, let's just cut out the middleman. I'll start bringing something in. And it was more of a selfish reason, right? Bringing good products in. It's like what they have at Penn Mac. Everything's genuine, single sourced. Our olive oils from a single farm. About 3 years ago, I was actually at the farm. So they harvest everything over there, and they mill the olive oil right there at the farm itself. So
and it's in Italy.
It's in Italy. So this is in Sicily. This town's called Franca. It's most people. Best way to describe where this is located is just southeast of Mount Etna, the volcano that erupts almost like every 5 months. So it's just sourced right there. So this olive oil been really taken off. Actually, Penn Mac was the first store to take us on, and we're doing really well over there with the olive oil.
Well, and I think a lot of people don't know about olive oils. You go to the store, you pick up an olive oil, and you don't really know, even sometimes it says made in Italy, but if you really look, it's made in Italy, but then it has all different. So, what can people look for whenever they're buying and purchasing an olive oil? Obviously they should buy yours.
Obviously,
but there's a lot to it. There's more to olive oils than people generally perceive.
Yeah, there is. And to be totally transparent, there's other olive oils, good olive oils out there in the market. One of the important thing is the packaging itself. Talking about the green glass. And that's important because light and oxygen affects olive oil. Olive oil has about a 2-year shelf life. So you probably want to look at the expiration date as well. Anything that's made in Italy has to say made in Italy, and they have this little Italian flag. I'll just turn this ball around. There's like this little Italian flag over here. That pretty much means that it's made in Italy. There's other regions in the world where they make good olive oil. Spain is one. So you just want to make sure that's there.
If that's what you're looking for.
But this is all single source from one farm in Etna. Yeah, so that's really the most important thing. Make sure it's glass. Anything plastic is not good. Our good thing is tins. You see the aluminum tins. That's also good because there's no light going in there. So if you're getting like bigger qualities, like a liter or 3 liter, it'll come in a tin, not in a glass.
And what about you? When it comes to cheeses or imported goods, is there something they should look for?
I would think, shop somewhere where you could taste it, and then, build up the trust there.
And you also do tastings as well.
Yeah, so you could always, come in and you could try the Parmigiano. Every time you can try it. You might not ask to try it, and I'm going to give you.
Can you walk back out, walk back in, and try it again?
Why not? we could always try all the Parmigiano we want because it's great.
And Penn Mac has a ton going on above and beyond just cheeses. I know I've been in there. I come from an Italian family. You can't walk in there without spending tons and tons of money, but in a good way.
I know it's still a value.
What are the other products that you guys have that you suggest
that
people
I go
come in
crazy for would be, other than the cheese, we have an excellent selection of dried hams from across Europe, the prosciutto. I love the Greganese pasta. So that's a protected designation of origin Italian pasta. We have maybe 4 varieties of it, and it's excellent. I mean, you spend a few more dollars a pound on pasta, and you really make an excellent dish. We have a crazy selection of these and other balsamic vinegars and oils. But my big items, I eat the cheese, I eat the pasta, and this is a condiment in my house.
Yes.
I consume so much olive oil.
Always.
So
always.
Those would be my favorite things. But also, we have a great selection of bulk spices, nuts, and just different Italian and general European and specialty ingredients is kind of our niche.
Well, and my family is from San Daniele, so I'm always, if I'm going to get the prosciutto, then I'm going to get Parma. I know, I've heard all of it, but that's one of the things I come in for.
I love the San Daniele.
It's wonderful.
It's so good.
Yeah. So, and you also do a lot with wines as well.
Yeah. So I also import Italian wines from all over Italy. So it the wines and the olive oil and the balsamics all go hand in hand. And the cheeses, you can't have one with the other. They just always complement each other. For instance, with the cheese that Adam brought,
Classic
pairing, they are literally miles apart in that region of Italy called Emilia Romagna, where you get the Parmigiano Reggiano, where you get the prosciutto. So they go really well with the balsamic from Modena. They just pair up well because they grow together. They live together.
Right.
So
they've been made in this same place for 1,000 years. That's the thing. Parmigiano Reggiano is actually Grana Padano. And people get so confused by this, but Grana Padano is granular cheese created by the Po River Valley.
Oh.
Maybe 900 plus years ago.
Yeah.
The Consortium del Parmigiano Reggiano, so the governing body that rates these wheels for quality, started 700 years ago.
Oh my goodness.
So how long have they been making balsamic in the region? Maybe longer. Maybe longer, because the wine history in Italy predates Parmigiano.
Yeah.
Well, I do know I haven't made it to Italy yet, and I do say yet.
I got to go and watch them make Parmesan and the prosciutto di
It would
Parma.
be amazing.
It's amazing.
Yeah, back in November, I went to visit the producers of my balsamic vinegars, and took a little detour, saw how they make Parmigiano Reggiano. It's fascinating, and there's only so many designated people that could make Parmigiano Reggiano. I forgot the number, but there's
like less than 100 farms, I think.
Yeah. So that's
it's specific industry.
It's specific industry. They meet those standards. Same thing with balsamics. To be called balsamic di Modena has to be from that region. Anything else is just balsamic. So these are classic. This gold one, it's aged about 3 years in barrel, so it's going to be a little bit thicker, a little bit sweeter. So that's a classic pairing with the Parmigiano Reggiano. You put a little drop of that on that, you're happy.
It really pops.
Yeah.
Well, and one of my favorite meals is a caprese sandwich.
Yeah.
With ciabatta and prosciutto and.
Yep, and that's perfect.
Yeah, that would be perfect to add on to.
A little drizzle on that.
A little basil. Anyway, I'm starving at this point from this. And so, I mean, obviously this episode is going to be talking about wines and cheeses and how all of this stuff, the olive oil, the balsamic, what a night. Like, I think that people need to spend more time in the kitchen and putting together pairings and kind of testing things out.
Absolutely. You know, we have at our retail locations we have promo cards, and on the back of them we have recipes, so they could use our products or that type of product like the olive oil and try it out with make something at home that's a classic Italian dish.
Well, and I use olive oil. I actually have your balsamic at my house right now. I wasn't able to make it to grab the olive oil, so I have to do that. And,
I don't think I'll be walking out of the studio with.
But I mean, it just, that's true. But I mean, we eat salad constantly. It's olive oil. It has to sit. Like I have a whole process behind my salads. But, you can use it for cooking. You have to be mindful of cooking temperatures and stuff like that. But it adds something. I mean, a good olive oil and a good cheese adds something to the dish above and beyond if you're just grabbing something.
Right. It just adds another layer to that flavor profile that you're looking for. It's, just like sometimes the olive oil might, this one might have a little touch of almonds because they grow almonds on the farm. So that almond flavor picks up into the olive oil. So it picks up
So
what's
you can do
around.
like an olive oil tasting like you can with
Absolutely.
a
Absolutely.
wine.
It's just like with the cheese, whatever the cow eats, that's what you're going to taste in the cheese.
Right.
All right, so we are going to be back. I think I'm looking at the wrong camera here. We're going to be back here in a second. We're going to pick up this conversation, talk a little bit more about what they're doing, and see if we can find out a little bit more about Penn Mac and Tavolo Pazzo. And welcome back. If you're just joining us, we have Domenic Mantella and Adam I'm not going to say it right. Ehrlichman from Pennsylvania Macaroni Company and Tavolo Pazzo. We've been talking cheese, wine, olive oil, balsamic, all the great things, different Italy regions that are producing these, how it's made. So this is a great episode, and I'm so glad to have you both here with us. I'm going to start back because I want to talk a little bit about the meaning of Tavolo Pazzo and
so Tavolo Pazzo means crazy table. That's a translation from Italian to English, and it goes back when I was younger. Sunday afternoons, big family, so the table got kind of crazy, right? You had kids running around, you had my mom, my aunts over there cooking, and my father and my uncles are trying to solve the world problem. So it was just the table was crazy.
Yes.
And you had some outside the family for a Sunday dinner. They're like, that house is crazy, but it's in a good way. It's crazy because it's very hectic. So it kind of goes back to
very quiet too. I'm
sure. Very quiet.
Very quiet.
Us at times are very quiet. We don't talk loud at all. But that's where the thing. It's more of going back when I was a kid. That's where that meaning comes from. So it's just a crazy table, and my producers in LA, they love the name. They thought, they're like, why do you call it crazy table? And I kind of explained how. They're like, that's beautiful.
It is.
It's so we're trying to maybe relive our younger years when I had more hair when I was a kid, but it's but that's where the name came from.
Well, and I grew up Italian, so I'm very familiar. Although we had our spaghetti night Thursday night, so we all lived in Aspinwall, in a small town, and like everybody would have like a bowl that maybe got returned every 3 to 5 years, and we all gathered every Thursday, and my grandmother would make this giant pot for like 5 families, and we're very loud, and but it was wonderful growing up. You just knew that Thursdays were spaghetti night, and that's it was tradition. And the best part is my noni didn't eat spaghetti, so she'd make it for everybody. Be like, I don't like it.
Yeah,
she doesn't like her own food. But
I could eat pasta every day, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, tradition is great, and I think Penn Mac, You've been around since 1902, I believe.
Yeah, 1902, Pennsylvania
And
Macaroni.
so, do you know some of the history of how it got started?
Absolutely. Pennsylvania Macaroni started, I don't remember exactly where, but right outside of Pittsburgh, and they were an importer of macaroni products. So they would bring in macaroni products, olive oils, and they had a fire. Within their first 10 years, they moved to the Strip District location where they are now, and they would supply mom and pop grocery stores. So they were a wholesaler Italian grocery supplier, and in the 1950s, Italian food started to gain popularity with fine Italian dining, pizza shops. So they started supplying those places, and to my knowledge, there was always a cut-to-order cheese counter in Delhi in the location. So yeah, it grew out of that. They grew the wholesale business bigger and bigger, and then the retail business is just great now.
I've been in there, and you're gonna grab one of those tickets, and you're gonna stand in line.
Yeah.
It's well worth the wait.
It's
Absolutely.
well worth the wait. Yep, absolutely.
And what other programs does PennMac run, or is it strictly like cheese events, wine and cheese, or do you have other things coming up that people can get involved with?
No, nothing really.
Nothing really.
Nothing
That's
that
okay.
I could think of. A lot of the events and stuff that we do are usually for charities.
Well, that's great.
That's the majority of the different events. We'll do something for a charity. I did a few weeks ago. I did crushed grape for Sister's Place.
I know. Melissa Ferrero. Yeah.
Yeah, they're great people. All of those people are great people.
I didn't get to make it this year. They have
It's
every.
very
I don't know if
nice.
you know about it. They have every wine available. It's for a really good cause.
Yeah.
Foods, and you just stroll
and
around.
there's so much food, they have housing for single parents.
Oh,
They
wow.
provide
Yeah.
housing for single parents and get people
Love
into
to get
programs.
involved with that.
Really,
It's
really
pretty
nice
great.
event.
It's a really
Yeah.
nice cause.
Yes.
Yeah.
And with the olive oils, is there any recommended recipes? Any ways that people can use them to?
I mean, there's a lot of ways that you could use olive oil. When we do demonstrations, pre-COVID, we did a lot of tastings at PennMac, and it was more education, have people taste the thing, but there's always a misconception that you can't fry with olive oil. And I'm like, you can, because my grandmother used to fry.
You can.
They didn't have corn oil or vegetable oil in Southern Italy for many generations, right? In centuries. So just try to debunk some of these myths. You could fry with olive oil. It's a lower frying point than a deep fryer, but it adds that extra layer of flavor into your foods. So I like to educate people about olive oil. One of my favorite dishes that my mom always makes, it's a dessert olive oil cake. So it has that nice flavor of the olive oil where you get
What is an olive oil cake? I don't think I've had that.
Yeah, I want some olive oil cake.
Yeah, olive oil cake is a cake that's mostly made in Sicily. So it has a nice light buttery cake pretty much, but they also pair it up like maybe like a candy citrus, like an orange or a lemon.
Okay.
It's very light, so you're pretty much replacing butter with the olive oil. So that's one thing that people are like, could you make desserts? Absolutely. With olive oil. One of my favorite dishes is actually on the back of our promo cards. It's just pasta alla olio, oil and garlic. Just a simple, quick. In Italy we call it, in the English translation will be fast pasta. So it's a dish that you could make as long as it takes you to boil the pasta.
Right, that's
So
my kind of dish.
And it's really quick. You're not, making your typical ragu or your succo where, you have the meats in there.
Simmering all day.
Simmering. Those are my favorite. I love those dishes, but, on a Monday night, you just want to probably make a fast pasta dish. And
I make the Americiano all the time. It's like the same thing.
Exactly.
You just put
Go ahead.
put the guanciale, onions,
exactly.
tomatoes, cook the pasta, put it in.
Yeah, so
Little bit of
there's a
red
lot of different olive oil based pasta dishes that are really light, and the olive oil does have a lot of health benefits. It's known
It is
for
very good for you.
it's good antioxidants. So those are like, where you hear like blueberries are good for antioxidants. Olive oil has this anti-inflammatory. There's studies that show that it helps reduce cholesterol. So you could replace your fats from a butter or something with the olive oil, and you'll get that. You won't lose anything on the dish. It might enhance the dishes most likely. So those are like some stuff with the olive oil that you could do. The balsamic, especially older the balsamic, more you could see, you could use that as a dessert. You could put that on top of ice cream. This gold one, you have a nice
People
gelato.
love it on ice cream.
You could put it on ice cream.
I never even thought of that.
So there's a lot of things that you could do besides put it on a salad, which is great to put on salad. But you know what? You could put it on an ice cream. Restaurants, bars, they make cocktails from the higher end balsamics because it has more of a sweeter taste to it from the grapes. So the grapes are what that makes these balsamics are the same grapes that make a wine called Lambrusco, which is more of a sweeter side. Because Lambrusco and
Same region.
so there's these grapes called Salamino. Salamino means in Italian little sausage because the grapes look like little sausages. So they're kind of sweet. They give a little punch. So when you taste the sweetness in a balsamic, you're actually tasting the grapes, the sweet grapes in there. It's a naturally sweet.
Well, and I think that a lot of people think, oh, Italian cooking, it's so hard and I have to learn all this stuff. It's actually, growing up how I did with my grandmother, it's a lot simpler because the flavor profiles of the cheeses and the olive oils that you're using have the flavor, so you don't need to do as much. It's more, put this in and it makes, like, if you use a good pasta, if you use a good cheese and you use a good olive oil, do you need all of the other elements to make it taste fantastic?
Yeah. And, I'd just like to go back to our point where you're saying, how do you find a good olive oil? Same thing with a good balsamic. This balsamic just only has vinegar and grape must. So if you see a balsamic over there, they might say like sugar or corn syrup.
Xanthium gum.
Xanthium gum. You're just having sugar, really. Yeah. So there's no sugar added. The sweetness is from the fruit itself. So that's another thing that you probably want to look for while selecting a good balsamic.
Well, we will have everybody follow up with both PenMac and Tavolo Pazzo. And everything was, learning all of this stuff is so important. And I think I need to shop here soon for the weekend. But thank you, Adam. Thank you, Dominic, for coming on today.
Thanks for having
us. Appreciate it and sharing your stories and sharing what you do. Thank you so much for joining us today on Spotlight on Pittsburgh, and thank you all for watching. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Spotlight on Pittsburgh, and join us again the next time when we shine the spotlight on 2 new guests. I'm glad you guys knew that. You're probably like, I don't know what.